Hey, sports parents. If we haven't met, my name is Jonathan Carone, and I'm the host of the show. Today, we're talking with Liberty University's men's basketball coach, Ritchie McKay. For longtime listeners of the show, you know my faith is a big part of my life and what I do. I purposely don't beat you over the head with it because I know we have parents listening from all walks of life, and I want to respect that. But once each season, I like to have a faith-focused show because that's just who I am, and it's a big part of how I approach this entire journey. If you don't know Coach McKay, he's won 60% of his games as a head coach. He's made the NCAA tournament, I think it's 5 times now, and he's led his team to a conference championship in 6 of the last 7 seasons. But more than his results on the court, Coach McKay is someone I've looked up to for a really long time. I never had the chance to work directly with him as an employee while I was at Liberty, but as a student and then as a fan the last 15 years, he's had a huge impact in both how I approach life and sports. In our conversation, we talk about why our kids need to value the process more than winning, how living a life of gratitude is a vital piece of a healthy sports journey, and why it's so important for us to help our kids learn that their identity is not based on their performance. If you like the show today, I'm going to ask that you rate us and review us wherever you're listening. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, writing up a small review would be a huge help. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Most of all, if this episode helps you in any way, the best thing you can do is share it with a friend. With all of that out of the way, here's my conversation with Coach Ritchie McKay. We are here with Coach Ritchie McKay. Coach, thanks so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
See, always a pleasure, man. Great to connect with you again.
I told you before we started recording that I almost by habit started chanting Ritchie because that's what we did every time before every game when I was in school. Before we talk to Coach, though, one of the things I do on this show every single week is I want to meet Dad before we talk to Coach. And I know your kids are grown at this point, but can you tell us a little bit about your kids, what they played, and what it was like being dad, not just coach to them, but dad to them?
Yeah, I mean, as you well know, being a father yourself, it's an unbelievable privilege and a gift from the Lord. So we have 3 children. Our eldest is our daughter. Her name is Ellie. She's probably my biggest fan, and we're very connected. She really didn't get into sports until maybe late in her high school years. She played a little lacrosse, a little basketball. She might watch this, so I won't talk about or critique her basketball game, but let's just say she was a really good teammate. But she tried hard. She wanted to win. I
got a hat that says "Raise good teammates" right here.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. But some of the stuff that she learned as an athlete has helped her in her career. She works for Capitol Records, and she's worked for the Tonight Show, and lived in New York City and now in Nashville. So God knew what he was doing by giving me a daughter first. Cause if I would have had boys first, man, I don't know, you're too young to remember the great Santini, but it was just this maniacal dad that was just pounding on his kids, get in the gym. You gotta go harder. I would have been that guy, but, having Ellie first certainly softened me up. And, then we had our son, Luke. Luke actually is on staff with us. He's our director of video and analytics. Another one that didn't really get into basketball until his latter years, but he made an incredible jump from high school senior year he ended up making our team. He scored 8 or 9 points in a game. And Jonathan, you should have seen the bench. They went crazy. The only bad part about that was when we got home that night, my wife said, "You should be playing him more." Yeah. And then my youngest Gabriel, he's actually a graduate assistant at the University of Kentucky now. He played for us for 4 years after transferring from Division II. And, man, he will do so much more than I've ever done in coaching. He's got this unbelievably infectious personality. And, Ben, it's, you know what it's like. There's nothing like coming home, especially when they're in those pre-teen years and they don't care much about the outcome. They're invested in you, and they just want your presence. And my wife Julie, she is a tremendous mom, and she stayed at home with our kids. And I think we're witnessing the fruit of that sacrifice that she made, because they're unbelievable children. We're really blessed.
I feel so old hearing you talk about your kids, like what they're doing now, because I think Gabe was in like elementary school when I was in college. So it's just like, yeah, it happens to all of us, Coach. Like I woke up this morning with aches and pains, and that it happens to all of us.
I've been waking up like that for a while now.
All right. One of the things that I talk a lot about on this show is that youth sports aren't about winning. They're about learning the process it takes to win and developing the tools you need to win. And you didn't know this, but I actually learned a lot of that from you, or it finally clicked when I heard an interview with you. And I'm going to take you back to 2019, your first or second year back at Liberty. It was the first year we won a conference championship, and we had a game that January against Lipscomb at home. And I thought I would get that reaction from you. They blew the brakes off of Liberty, and it was at home. The final score was 79-59. After the game, and it wasn't that close most of the game.
It wasn't that close. We were down 30-something that game.
But after the game, you said something that stuck with me. You said that you and the team stopped doing the things you needed to do to win the game because you were so focused on the score of the game, because that game was for first place.
Yeah.
You essentially focused more on the result and getting the win than doing the things you needed to win. Can you take a minute and explain to the parents listening to this why the process and helping kids learn to love that process is so much more important than just focusing on the result?
Yeah, man, John, that's a great question. And I don't know if I have all the answers on that. I think there's some psychology to it, obviously, but I'll tell you what I do know. Like we can never gain our identity from what we do, what we have, or what other people say about us. And I think sometimes we as parents, we want to protect our children so much that we don't want them to go through the hard or even some suffering. But typically some of those experiences accelerate our growth and or forces our growth. So I think for me, just having been in coaching and just from my background, the way I was raised, had a divorced home and a bunch of different stepdads, and idolized my father, who wasn't at home, but just wanted to please him, or was searching for his love, approval, or affirmation. So, man, it became very performance oriented, and I ended up living on this treadmill, and that's a horrible place to live, because you end up being so invigorated with the win and so indicted with the loss, or the good performance or the bad performance. And that's never why kids start playing the game. Like when they're on the playground, when they're with their friends, or they have a coach that's way more transformational than transactional, you see the joy on their face. Sure, there's competition and all of that, and that's healthy. Like those instills some attributes in us that we can't get from a lot of places. But man, oh man, when you live by what that scoreboard says or what other people say about you, I think it's a road to destruction. So again, I had to learn it the hard way. Part of it was getting to know myself better and trusting who I was in Christ Jesus and what His Word said about me. But as I continued to mature in that, I got way better professionally, because I made the shift, and I'll land this plane with the shift from being me-centric to other-centric. And man, that takes out the indictment of what other people say or whatever that outcome is.
And just, I mean, in full transparency, how old were you when you made that shift? Because it was well into adult life, correct?
Yeah, but I'm still learning it, JC. That's the great thing about being a Christian. Like, it's the mystery of it. Like, we're not done growing until we go home to be with the Lord. So, I'm way better than I used to be, but I get up every morning and I ask God, who do you say I am? Because I want to remind myself of how I was created. And then my prayer is, God, what do you want me to know? And what do you want me to do? So yeah, I think the older I get, the more over myself I become. But it's easy to revert back. There's so many distractions that are set before us, and we're so easily seduced. I don't know if everyone's like this, but like something can grab our attention and take our eyes off the Lord or about whom He's created us to be, and instantaneously we go back to living for ourselves. And I've been on that island that is a lonely place.
I was talking to Kate Ziegler yesterday. She's a two-time Olympian, held a world record. Her episode comes out later this season. And we were talking about just the idea of kids specializing so early. And one of the dangers of it is your identity gets put in your sport.
Yeah, no doubt.
And your identity becomes performance-based. And just with the culture we've created around sport and like just where we're at right now, so many kids are getting their identity based off of their performance at 9, 10. Are they on the elite team at 11 years old? And like that is, as you said, that's an island that once you get stuck on it, it's so hard to get off.
Yeah, well, think about it. Like if you're not at the game and as a parent and you call home or you get home from work or your job and you ask your son or daughter, hey, how'd you do today? How many points did you score? How many goals did you make? Like all of a sudden, like it's not about, hey, did you have fun? Did you give your very best? What kind of teammate what'd you learn today? Like, I think we get too attached to the outcomes, but that's our society today. And it's all about measurement. It's all about achieving some mark that gives us some kind of status or sense of accomplishment. And don't get me wrong, God, He hardwired us for glory. Paul David Tripp says this, the problem becomes when we chase the wrong glories.
Competition isn't bad. Like we have been competing. I can get on a soapbox here, the idea that work existed even before the fall. And so we were hardwired to put in work. And so we get joy and accomplishment from doing the work.
Yeah, no doubt.
But when we put our identity too much in the outcome of the work is when things go off the rails.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's an easy trap. Like again,
Yeah.
you get applauded, you get written up, you get recognized, you get a medal, you get a trophy. Like it's really easy to get, to allow your perspective to be shifted, and all of a sudden you're living for something that is really self-promoting.
You mentioned in there that you became less you-focused and more other-focused. And it reminds me of one of my things that I appreciate about you so much. I'm going to tell a story, and I'll get to the question in a second. When I was at Liberty, I started a group called the Lunatics. You know that. Our goal was to rebuild the student section and be the best student section in our league, and I think we did it. But one of the things that we did before every game, you would walk across where we stood in the front row at center court to get to the bench, and we'd chant, Ritchie, Ritchie. And you'd walk by and you'd give us this little fist pump every single time. And there was a game over Christmas break. School was out. Kids weren't on campus. It was against a non-Division I team. I came back into town for the game because I wasn't going to miss a game. And there was only one other person in the club with me at that game. And he lived in Lynchburg, but we still did the Ritchie chant. And as you walked by, you looked at us, you go, 2 of you? Only 2 of you are? But after the joke, you said, thanks for being here. Before the game, you took time to thank us for being there. And it's 18 years later now, and I still remember that. And so one of the things that makes me such a big fan of how you approach coaching is the gratitude that you display like all the time. After big games, you put out videos thanking the students for being there. And you thanked us for coming to games. You got on our bus after going to an away game in the conference tournament just to thank us for being there. And that sense of gratitude is something that I picked up from you to this day. Like, I thank my kids for doing things around the house because of you thanking us for being there. And so when I'm coaching 9 and 10-year-olds, I thank them for putting in effort because I was shown an example by you to live a life of gratitude. So can you talk to us a minute about why that life of gratitude is such an important part of a healthy journey through life and sports?
Yeah, JC, honored by those comments, man. Yeah, I've had some unbelievable mentors in my life. God's been incredibly faithful to put men around me that I could live in my true identity. I could take off my mask and they would love and accept me unconditionally, like just for me. I could tell the truth to them. And I think I garnered such a great appreciation for those men's presence and unconditional love that it propelled maybe a muscle development of practicing gratitude. And like I live my life now out of a deep sense of gratitude for all of his blessings, his provisions, and even the tough times, because I know he's always working for my good, right? Like it's the trust that we have in God's word. But I think, man, I think as you talk about this shift from me-centric to other-centric, I think it's a daily practice. We have this saying in our program. Tim Delina, the pastor of Times Square Church in New York City, he said in one of his messages, he says, "What you do every day is more important than what you do every once in a while." So, man, I've taken that to heart. It's been branded. Our guys would be able to tell you what that means in their own lives, because we want to make sure we're practicing gratitude. And I just think it's the jet fuel for us to be able to live in our true identity.
And what I have learned is that when I can be thankful for something, it takes away so much shame in it as well. Like if I mess up, and like I will apologize, but instead of focusing on the apology, thank you for handling that. Thank you for understanding. Like it takes away so much shame and pressure where it's just like, okay, I'm thankful that I'm surrounded by people who will care about me enough to allow me to be a human being who makes mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we all do, right?
Yeah.
Like it's inevitable, man. And, but that's our propensity. Like when our button gets pushed, usually by fear of what other people think about me, or, there's no grace for the imagination, right? Like typically it's fear that it promotes these versions of ourselves that we either self-protect, isolation, pull away, or retaliate, or self-promote. Hey, look at me. Look what I did. And I think the essence that is a daily pursuit or accrual is to just know what God's word says about you, and to trust it, right? Because if you trust it, and it's really true, he'll never leave you or forsake you, or a bruised reed he will not break, or a smoldering wick he will not snuff out, or he's always with me. Like if I can refocus or reframe the given circumstance, the mistake, or the fear that has triggered this reaction, and filter it with God's word, then all of a sudden I can respond. And it's way better to respond than to react.
And I think for so many of us, we don't realize that those are natural emotions. That they're like, there's no shame in like wanting others to like you. There's no shame in wanting others to think you're good at what you do or think you're a good parent. Like that's a normal part of everyday life. It's just when we allow that to drive the bus, that it takes us to a lot of places we don't want to go, or we shouldn't go.
That's well said. Really well said.
All right, we're going to continue with Coach McKay in just a second, but before that, we're going to take a quick ad break, share some resources with you, and then we'll be back on the other side.
Have you ever showed up at the wrong field at the right time? Hey, my name's Zoe, and I've got 3 athletes on club and travel teams, and that's happened to me one too many times. So 2 years ago, I created a new app called Orgo, exclusively for sports parents. It imports schedules from all the different team apps, as well as your personal calendar to keep the entire family, including your kids, on the same page. Go to orgohq.com, download directly from the App Store or Google Play, and make Orgo part of your winning routine. Get the right people to the right places on time.
Hey, it's Jonathan. If you haven't signed up for the Weekend Playbook yet, here's the deal. Every Friday, I send a quick hit encouragement to help you head into the weekend with purpose. We talk about stuff like how to handle post-game silence, what to do when the ref blows a call, or how to meet your kid right where they are. The goal is simple: to help you show up better and be the parent your kid needs. The link's down in the show notes. Go sign up today.
We're here with Coach McKay from Liberty University. And Coach, there's a big debate in the youth sports world around specializing versus being a multi-sport athlete. And so I want to shift a second from like the identity stuff we've been talking about to your role as a coach. And I know that there's a bunch of nuance because so much of this revolves around school size and goals of the kid or whatever. But if a parent of a basketball player came to you and said, hey, my kid's in middle school, they're pretty decent, they want to play varsity basketball and would love to have a chance at playing in college, what should we do? How do you advise that parent? Is it AAU? Is it private lessons? Are they still playing multiple sports? But like, how would you advise that parent to lead their kid?
Yeah, Jonathan, my answer is a little skewed by my own experience, right? Like I grew up in Indianapolis, Indiana, and we would go and we play at the YMCA or at the park, and some of those experiences were unbelievably valuable for me because if you weren't any good, you wouldn't get picked up, and if you lost a game, you'd have to sit for 45 minutes to get in the next one. So it motivated you or incentivized you to go work on your game just to get out on the court. And so I think competition's always healthy. Nowadays, everyone has a trainer. They got a certain skill specialist or a weight strength coach, performance coach that can help them. And I think all those things can supplement what your goals are. But I would never, ever, ever recommend taking the fun out of what they do. So whatever makes them light up, like where they can't wait to get there, or they don't want to leave. I'd say like that's the desire of their heart. Like let them do it. And even if that's playing another sport, like those are such life-shaping years, formative years in their upbringing. Like let them experience it. But I'd also say, like competition is really healthy. Now, some of the stuff is maniacal, the AAU stuff, and you got 3 games a day. Like I got a strong opinion on that. But if you choose wisely and you're with the right coach or program, typically you'll know what kind of experience your child is having.
How many of your guys on your team right now played multiple sports when they were kids? Do you know?
I mean, by the time they get to high school, they probably are specializing. I think a couple of them played baseball. It's rare now that you find a football and a basketball player that ends up playing college basketball. Typically, those guys will play football. They're only playing basketball to stay in shape, or they're extremely talented athletes. So I'd say the 15 on our roster, no more than 2 or 3.
Gotcha. So by high school, it's usually that's when the shift is having to be made to if we're going to go somewhere, we probably got to specialize a little bit.
Yeah, JC, I think just because of the competition for a scholarship, if you're going to play Division I basketball, and we've had the good fortune to have a little bit of success, like it's really hard to get on the court. Like our freshmen got here this summer, and all of them are either all state or all this and that. And the summer is always a rude awakening for them because like, whoa, man, I didn't know these guys are that good. But I just think if you're going to play at this level, you probably need to dedicate yourself to some kind of daily improvement because it's so competitive.
The funny thing you say about that with the summer, I have a friend who her daughter is in 6th grade, and we had middle school soccer workouts over the summer. And so her daughter, who has only played recreation soccer, wanting to try out for the soccer team in middle school, went to the summer workouts, and she said she came home from one of them and she was a little upset because one of the 8th graders yelled at her to mark somebody, and she'd never been around that type of competition where the other players. And so like every step up is like from 5th grade to 6th grade going into middle school, from 8th grade to 9th grade going into high school. And then as you're talking like these all-state guys coming into Division I, like you realize, and it gets back to the whole identity piece, you realize someone is better than me.
Yeah, no doubt.
If my identity is in how good I am, I'm never going to be satisfied because there's always someone coming up that is better than me.
Jonathan, that's why I think it's great to seek out competition, like going to the park or Like if you have a fourth and fifth grader, let them play against 6th, 7th, 8th graders, like, because they get a chance to practice failure and how they respond to it. I always think competition's healthy, cause there's a humbling in it, that is usually natural. Those older athletes are just probably a little more developed, and it's good for them to experience and go through that.
Your faith, I mean, we've heard it through here. I've known you forever, so I know this. Your faith is such a big piece of who you are. Not only as a coach, but as a dad and a husband and everything about you. But the culture we're in, travel sports can take us away from our churches and our faith communities because of tournaments and practice and all that. How would you counsel a parent who is struggling to figure out how to support their kids' dreams and goals of playing their sport, but also the reality of knowing they need to be connected to others in their walk with Jesus? What does that look like in your mind that you've seen work or that they should focus on, or how would you just encourage them in that?
Yeah, another great question. Partner with your spouse in parenting and making sure you set up some boundaries that you guys are convicted by in order to raise them the right way and to model for them what Christian walk looks like. Obviously, they're always gonna. This is true about your players, and I think it's even more evident to your kids. They're not going to be so interested in what you say as much as what you do. But I also think, man, I alluded to it earlier. I heard it long ago. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. I've been really intentional about every stop in this journey, finding people that I could do life with. And again, someone that I could trust with the real me. That is just, it's freed me up to be who I was created to become, and not worry about maybe the opinions of others or having to achieve this certain status or look a certain way, win a certain amount. And I just think because we were never created for just ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Coach Bennett used to always reference this old African proverb in our locker room. He said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I think it's been prevalent in my pursuits to walk this faith journey out. And I shouldn't be different. Like I got to be more of a Christian than I am a coach or a dad or a husband. Like it shouldn't leave me in any aspect of my life.
My pastor, his daughter's a Division II player down in Florida right now. And so I've talked to him about like traveling to the tournaments with her. And like, he talks about how that hotel lobby on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning can be just as sacred as a church worship center or a sanctuary. It doesn't have to be weird. You don't have to break out the acoustic guitar and sing all the songs, but just those conversations around the gospel, around identity, around what Jesus is doing in your life can be just as holy as sitting with other people in a sanctuary. Yeah, no doubt. Heck, even going for a walk or going to a coffee shop and doing the same thing. There's nothing like that time together, like that, the equity that, you receive, and they get by being in the physical presence of their dad. I heard a pastor say, long ago, and, this was another gentleman I trusted with my life. He said, every young boy, needs approval, acceptance, and affirmation from his dad. Because if he doesn't get it there, he'll look for it somewhere else. And man, those words hit so at home for me. And again, it made me acquire the intentionality of making sure that my boys, my kids got that from me. And that just speaks so much to the fact that like we have to be parent first to our kids, not coach first, not critic first, not agent first. Like we have to be parent first, because if they don't know we love them despite their performance, they're going to spend their entire life performing to try to get our love.
Yeah, that's well said. And like, again, you alluded to this earlier, like it's no fault of the parent. We all want our kids to do more than we've done or to have a better life than we had. But like sometimes that has zero to do with what they achieve, what they accomplish, how they perform. It's always going to come down to the influence that you end up having, the way you serve others. So like that may look a lot different than what the world celebrates.
I know you got things to do, so we got to get you out of here. I'm going to end on my two favorite questions that I get to ask every single week. What is something I haven't asked you that you think parents need to know the answer to?
I'll go again to a mentor of mine that said to me, you should always make your decisions based on your convictions and not just your opportunities. Because if you practice this discipline, you will avoid the propensity to water down your conviction to fit the opportunity. And man, oh man, have I made that mistake in the past, because opportunities are going to come, but like convictions, and my convictions are derived from God's word. If I make my decisions based on that, I'm always going to choose what's best. And it's not always going to look the way I thought it would, but it was what God had for me.
That's so good. All right, last question. We have a lot of parents listening to this who are leading their kids through this journey who have no clue what they're doing. They just have a kid who loves this sport and they're trying to support them the best they can. And I like to end every episode with an encouragement. So Coach McKay, Coach of the Year, NCAA Tournament winner, how would you encourage parents who are leading their kids this week as they're going to these practices and games?
Yeah, I'd tell them to make sure they continue to practice loving their children unconditionally. And you can do that because that's the way we are loved. If it's true, the axiom, you can never give away what you don't authentically possess. Like unless you have received grace, unconditional love and forgiveness from our Heavenly Father and what Jesus did on the cross for us, it will be impossible to give away that unconditional love. So I keep reminding yourself of what God says about you, what his word says, and then give that to your children, no matter how poorly they perform, how frustrating they can be, or how much they accomplish.
Coach, you don't know it, but I never played for you. I never worked directly with you, but just over the last 20 years, the impact watching you lead a program has meant for me. So you were one of my 3 white whales I wanted to get on the show. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for who you are and what you've been doing for not only me, but for a bunch of people over the last decades.
JC, thank you, man. Honored by that. And thank you for what you've become and the influence that you've had in, man, if not for you starting the Lunatics, we wouldn't be where we are today. So love you, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate you. That's it for today's episode. As a reminder, if you want your weekend playbook, head to healthysportsparents.com/playbook or click down in the show notes below. The merch store is open as well. That link is in the show notes. Every shirt, sticker, or hat you buy is one step closer to helping the Healthy Sports Parents book get published. If you like the show today, I'm going to invite you to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it'd be a huge help for you to write up a small review. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button as well. If this episode has helped you in any way, the best way you can help us grow the show is sharing this episode with a friend. Most of all, enjoy your time with your kids and watching them this week. I hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you again soon.